Fine, yeah.
Hi everybody, welcome to this webinar, Delivering Effective Technical Qualifications. My name is Sarah Fioda. I think some of you will know me. I'm the Hair and Beauty Technical Advisor at City and Guilds. Today we also have Alison Whittle on hand, and she's going to support us with any questions and answers that you may have, and we will answer these at the end of this session today. As normal, all attendees are in listen-only mode, but please try and type all your questions into the question box, and Alison will try to answer them at the end of this presentation. So we are delivering this webinar at home, and we're in two different parts of the country, so please bear with us in case you get any technical hitches or difficulties or any time lags on slides or background noises. If we do experience any serious technical hitches, we will end the webinar and record it, and we will send this out to each of you. You'll receive a copy of the slides and the CPD certificate once we collate all your details. And the main purpose of this webinar today is to deliver and how to deliver an effective technical qualification in hair and beauty. And it will show you where the key documents you need to locate are on the website, on what resources and support is available to you. There are also some updates for 2021-2022. So this first slide today, it's our induction webinar, and this webinar is a follow-up that we're doing now to our first steps presentation to the delivery of technical qualifications. So all new centres should have been sent this recorded presentation introducing you to the technical qualifications for hair and beauty. It would have been sent out to the name contact of the centre that we have. And if you want to receive all information as well, please submit a contact update form. And you can find this in the link to the form on the presentation, on this first steps presentation. If anybody has missed it or would like a refresher, we've put the links into both the recording and the slides as a reference point. And it's a good idea if you have any new staff to introduce this as part of their CPD or introduction to technical qualifications in hair and beauty. It's just 15 minutes long, so it's not too lengthy, but it's a great one for CPD and introducing your new staff to the qualifications. So if we look at the next slide, it's the agenda. So during this presentation, we will be covering the qualification handbook details and information, the unit delivery, using our adaptable curriculum planners, which are really valuable in planning the curriculum around the technical qualifications. We'll be looking at the formative assessment and past papers that we have for you to help you along the journey. We have exam guides, specifications relevant to each subject, which means that we have an exam guide for every hair and beauty technical qualification that we offer. We also have the sector contingency planning there for you. Also our employer involvement advice and guidance, which is really important whilst delivering a technical qualification, as is with any qualification that you'll be delivering. We'll be taking a look at the synoptic assignments and also the standardization of the synoptic assignments as well. We'll be giving you some moderation information and contact details. We'll have some Q&As, which we hope you're going to put into the question box as we go along, or you make a note of them, and then Alison and myself will try to answer these at the end of the presentation. We will also have on there, I think it's probably one of the last slides, there is a link to our hair and beauty survey from today's presentation and a QR code for those of you who are tech savvy. So if we look at the delivering an effective technical qualification, these presentations have been split into sections, so you can easily access the sections you need to look back on moving forward. And our first one will be looking at the qualification handbook details and information to help you on that journey. So if we look here at the qualification handbook details for the level 2 technical certificate in beauty therapy, that is 600320, and this will show you how many theory exam marks are allocated to the units, and the most important knowledge for that theory exam that you need to focus on in the mandatory units. And this is the critical knowledge that we're going to be looking at. So as you can see, there are the units there. We have our main units for this qualification. If we look at the mandatory component, we have our theory exam and our synoptic assignment. On this qualification, we have an optional units, and we have 3 of those. You only have to choose one of these optional units for this qualification. We also have our employer involvement that will help you to decide how you're going to deliver that, or bring your employers into the centre to help the learner get this experience. Sorry about that. If we look at the qualification, the exam, as you can see here, there is the duration is 2 hours and 30 minutes, and we do suggest that the learners do stay in that room for 2 hours and 30 minutes while they're doing that exam. And it's really important to look at the duration and the units that are going to be covered and the outcomes that are going to be covered within that exam. And if you move on to this further down, if you've got the handbook in front of you, if you move further down onto the pages of where you would find this information, you will see that, you know, we have our 201, we have our 202, 204, and if we look at the manicure, pedicure and the artificial nails, they are their units are all jumped together, and the questions and the grades or the grade marks are actually there for you. So you can see that some things are not repeated. So as in the old exam types, things were repeated. Within the new technical qualifications, we really don't repeat anything moving along. So if we now look at the unit delivery using this adaptable curriculum planner. So this is basically the example here of the qualification that's broken down into units. The units are below, and this is the example of the level 2 hairdressing qualification, and that's 600221. Now this qualification has 5 mandatory units or modules, and it's 450 guided learning hours. So I'm just going to talk you through the information on this slide, and as you can see, the units are there. 201, 202, 203, 204 and 205, and they are the basic hairdressing units that you would need at a level 2 qualification for hairdressing. We have the guided learning hours there for the each unit for that qualification, and we also give you that total qualification time, which is 7:20, and the guided learning hours are 4:50. Our next slide will help you plan the delivery. We've produced these on a 1-year editable curriculum planner with most of the generic key dates for the academic year are in there for you. And the weeks for teaching are taken into account, the holiday weeks, etc. But there's also regional differences on half terms. So, you know, I would suggest that you really look at, you know, your half term weeks and just check that you've got the right dates on this planner here. Now you can save it and adapt it as you need this planner, but you will need to add your own exam dates and any potential resits that may happen from the exam guide, which is our 2020 exam guide. And again on this, it's a brilliant, it's a scheme of work for me, if you like, because it really does give you that sort of, what am I doing, you know, each term. You can put your own unit titles in there, as you can see on that first column, and that will help you work out, you know, when you're going to need to do revision for exams or mock exams and when they need to happen. You may prefer to use your own scheme of work or your own curriculum planners, but we would say that this is a very useful document and a starting point for you to get used to when the exams are going to be, when you need to do this, you need to do X, Y, and Z on week 1, week 3, going down onto throughout all the weeks of the academic year, whether you're on a 34 or 36 week academic year. So now we're going to take a look at the formative assessment using past papers. So ongoing formative assessment is really, really important. And we have, samples of schemes of work available on our smart screen. And if you do need those, please see your business manager because they will be able to get you in touch with all these resources that are there for you to help you deliver, smartly and a technical qualification in hair and beauty. So what we have there is, the sample assessments. They're on the website, so you can pick them up from our .com. We have an array of smart screen materials for our technical qualifications. We have our periodically centre assessments and our training, practical training activities using the training manuals for the qualification. Again, really important to be able to get access to these materials because they will help you when you're planning your formative assessments, and you may be planning them, after half term, you may plan them before Christmas, after Christmas, but ready for when they're going to be taking their, formative, their summative synoptic assignment at the end of their qualification or at the end of your delivery. So if we now take a look at our past papers, sorry about that. As you can see, it's advisable to carry out mock assessments using our past papers, which we have on our website. So we have sample assessments available. We probably only have 2 for each qualification, and we do have our moderators reports on there. Now, the moderators reports are really, really important for you to, download and actually pick them apart with your team. And again, it's great for standardization. So we do recommend that you carry out formative assessments to prepare your learners for these exams. Again, we do have the minimum of 2 sample synoptic assignments as well, and theory exams, and you can use and adapt them. You can make your own up if you like, going off our guides. But please keep them structured. If you're looking at if you were going to do sort of a synoptic for a formative, in Christmas, you wouldn't have finished all your teaching, and they wouldn't have finished all their learning. So what have you taught them, and what could you adapt to make that mock, if you like? Like I said, keep it structured. This will help the learners become familiar with the assessments and how the assessment's going to be laid out for them when they actually sit that, that summative synoptic assignment. As you can see on the screenshot, we have additional resources. And as I spoke about earlier, it's the moderators reports that we have. I think they are really, really, really important for you to have a look at. These qualifications are on the pages, so either 6002, 6003, 6010, which is your media makeup, or your 3038, which is your level 2 hair and beauty qualification. So if you enter that POS number, that's that 4-digit number, into our search engine, which you'll find on the right hand side of the top of the screen, it'll take you to the qualification resources and where they are kept. You'll not be able to access any live material as you will need a password from the wall garden. But as I said earlier, there are a sample of assignments that are not password protected for you to actually use with your learners. And I think it's really, really great as, like I said before, standardization and how you're going to go on with your own form of moderation within those formative assessments. So now we're going to look at some information on the exam guides and specification relevant to your subject areas. So if we take a look here at our level 2 certificate in beauty therapy, the exam guide is absolutely, it's paramount for me if I was delivering this qualification. And you can see there you've got your units underneath saying, the exams assessed. And you've got your units 201, 202. Now 203 is missing and 209 is missing. So, it's about a great question really when you're doing some standardization is what units are they? You know, because they're not going to be tested actually in the exam, but you still have to deliver that information to the learners to make sure that they have their they have a full understanding of that qualification, which is really, really important. So again, it's a screenshot of the guides, but it's really important. And as I stated earlier on a previous slide, once you go through the guides and you go through the guides with the handbook, you will see exactly what learning outcome is going to be tested, what will be in the exam there, and you can also see the topics that are going to be covered. For beauty therapy, it's just literally all the learning outcomes and all the topics, but you will see, you'll get a guide from that. But as I said, 203, you will see that that's a waxing qualification, waxing unit, sorry, and 209 is our makeup. Now these units, you know, the moderator will see them on the day and will ask questions on the day. So there is no real reason for us to hold or have a question in there for the learner to answer. But again, as I stated, you know, it's really important that you actually make sure that you go through everything with the learners, and the guides are there to help you allocate, you know, the marks that are required for the qualification. And as I stated earlier, the technical qualification handbook is the teaching syllabus. So you teach from that and you use the exam guide to guide you for that, preparing that learner or those learners for the final exam. But use the handbook and the exam guide together. They should be like your two little Bibles for the year, and working them across with each other so you can see what you need to cover, which is everything that would be, if it's pink, it's in pink, you would cover everything. But when you're looking for going back on revision, it's really important to pick that guide up to the examination and really drill down and look at the learning outcomes and the units and the topics that will be covered. As I stated, if you look at your manicure, pedicure and your artificial nails, you know, they are clumped under one sort of area. They're not separate. So we wouldn't be asking you the same question in manicure that we would ask you in a pedicure, as we have done in previous qualifications. So they are really tailor-made to help that learner retain that information, and for yourself to be able to get that information across to the learner. So now we're going to look at some important dates for you all. So every year we produce a document, and it has all the key dates on it, and that's really important that you make sure that at the beginning of the year you print off this document so you've got the key dates there. We have put the link in there for you, and that will help you download that copy, and it's basically a checklist with reminders of telling you when things need to be submitted. So if we go through this slide, you know, the window opens for clarification of queries of the synoptic assignments. Now, what I would say is that, you know, please go onto the website, and if you've looked at that synoptic assignment and you do have any queries, please put it in our, we have a form on there that you can fill in, and you can put your queries on that form, and we can then get the moderators or myself can come back to you and help you pick through, you know, the clarification that you may need for that assignment. The 29th of October, the window closes for clarification on the queries for the synoptic assignment. So please make sure from, you know, you've got to the 28th of October to really pick apart that synoptic, and any queries that you may have, you know, you put it in the form and we will definitely get back to you. Your deadline for registering learners is the 29th of October. So please make sure that all learners are registered for that date. And if we look at the 10th of December, that is the deadline for booking your spring exam, synoptic and optional assignments. Optional assignments can be changed, and they're not written in stone. So if you decided to do the spa unit, say for level 2, then decided to do tanning or male facial, as long as you let the moderation team know in good time, that can be changed. January the 4th, that's the date where we release a synoptic assignment for learners. So you will have looked at all that, you'll have gone through all that, you'll have asked us all your questions because you'll have put it into the form that we ask you to submit your questions or any clarifications you may need. And on the 4th of January, you should be releasing that synoptic to your learners and going through that with them. And it's a guide. They have a brief and you'll be giving them the brief. But from September to releasing that in January, because you have that synoptic and you have that knowledge, you will be guiding them through that brief so that they can, they can actually showcase their best skills on the day of their synoptic assignment. May the 20th, that is the deadline for booking any summer exams that you may need to book. And also it's a deadline for submitting marks and evidence to the moderation portal for all synoptic assignments. So what we are saying there is by the 20th of May, we expect that all synoptic assignments will be completed. All your marks will be uploaded to the moderation portal, and you will have basically gone through your standardization, and you will be looking at the forms that you need to use, and they will all be clarified with consultation sheets that we have on our website for you. But that is the last date for you to basically submit those marks. So for myself, I would be making sure that my last synoptics would probably be a week or maybe 10 days prior to the 10th of May. So we're looking at really top loading that teaching and learning on the practical side. So the 17th of June deadline is for submitting the outcomes and evidence to the moderation portal for the optional units that you may have chosen. Now, if you look at hairdressing level 2, there are no optional units to submit if you're doing that full 450 guided learning hour qualification. But if you're doing the cutting and styling or the colouring, there are optional units, so please take a look at that. For the beauty therapy, we know that there is one optional unit at level 2, and there are optional units at level 3 for beauty therapy and level 3 for hairdressing, and also for media, makeup and makeup artistry. So again, at this time, we'll be, if applicable, and most of our qualifications do require employer involvement, and this is at Key Stage 5 only. So if you are delivering 3038, which is our level 2 schools hair and beauty qualification, there is no need for employer involvement on that qualification. So it is for Key Stage 5 only. So now we're going to look at our employer involvement and advice for 2021-2022. Now this is where you can find the link to our employer involvement advice and guidance, and this is really, really important. We've got a planner there, we've got the tracker there, but we've also got our employer involvement planner, which really, really helps you to see what type of employer involvement is required for the learners on your program. And this is really important to take a look at, because it may be that you're having somebody coming in from Weller that are going to do a day, and you're not going to write every learner's name down, but you're going to put in the planner exactly what you're expecting to do. And it is a planner, so things can change, so it's not written in stone, but as long as learners have provided the right amount of hours for employer engagement, then or employer involvement, then that can be submitted. It's like I say, it's really important, and please look at the key dates for submission for employer activities. Now, this is an example of the employer involvement plan and tracker for the new academic year, and it's a template, and it's available for you to download for new centres or centres that are already delivering technical qualifications. But it really, really does give you the opportunity to plan exactly what your learners are going to be doing, and the work experience, if you like, and involvement that they're going to get from employers. And as just a little hint and tip from myself, thinking about this planner, I would be, when I was doing my moderation, I was doing, formative assessments, mock assignments. If I could, and I had a really good relationship with employers out in my area, I'd be asking them to come in and help me to do some moderation guidance, because I think that's really a good way for the employers to get in and talk to learners and give them some hints and tips about our industry. And what our industry requires. And it's not just about painting nails or cutting hair. It's all about that customer service element and that sales, and how we, that client who is either lay on the bed or in our chair is the most important person in the world for that 1 or 2 hours that they spend their time with us. So again, this does also give you key dates for submission for employer activities. So now, if we're going to look at the preparation to deliver the synoptic assignment, this is an absolutely amazing guide for me, the Marking and Moderation Centre Guide, and it is a critical document, so please download this. Like I say, it's a critical document that will help you with your marking and moderation processes for delivering our technical qualifications. And it's important to show that it's standardization. So when you've got your moderator comes in to see you, she'll want to see some form of standardization. So this marking and moderation is very much, it's very important, and it's very different to whether it be an MVQ or VRQ. So I would say this is a great sort of CPD morning, or even a couple of hours with your team to help them with that marking and moderation process. So we have got the link there. Now, what this does, it explains that marking and moderation process for the practical synoptic assessment. It talks to you all about that quality assurance process for other centre assessed components like the optional units. And it also gives you supporting forms and documentation that will need to be submitted. But as I said earlier, this is a really, really important document, and it's one of the documents that I would make sure that I went through, as head of school with my staff, to make sure that everybody knew what this documentation, is about. As I said, it's not like a VRQ or an MVQ. It's very, very different, and this document will really, really help you, to understand the differences between a VRQ and an MVQ on that assessment. So if we see here, we said it was a very, very important document to download. So if we look at this slide, on the left-hand side of the slide is a screenshot showing you where you can access past synoptic assessments and documents for our qualifications, whether they be 3008, 6002, 6003 or 6010. So that's our 4 main POS numbers for these technical qualifications. So as you can see, it shows you there that we have our synoptic assignment, and that is a PDF, and we also have the recording forms. And the recording forms are really, really important for you to have a look at, because you'll be looking at assessment objectives from 1 to 5, and it's really good to work alongside with your moderation guide to help you with your own continual professional development on how to use these documents. Now, these are published every year on our website in September, and they are used by centres to provide feedbacks or points that are raised to help you or clarify the synoptic assignments for our technical qualifications. And as I did state earlier, the deadline for the feedback is the 29th of October. So please look at the synoptic assignment, look at the recording forms as well, have a nosy around them, and there is a link here to the form that you can fill in to give us some feedback, and also if you need any clarification of how to deliver or what is expected within that assignment. And this is really, really important. This document is really important, so I do hope a number of you will fill this in if you do have any issues or you do need some clarification with these assignments. So if we look at the preparation to deliver the synoptic assignment, and it's a good idea, again, to familiarise yourself and the learners with the last year's synoptic. Now, you don't have to be too savvy, because a learner can go onto the website and see that the previous synoptics are not password protected, so they can look at them. So it is great for you to, and it's a good idea actually to do it maybe at the beginning of a session or even in a tutorial, you know, to familiarize yourself and the learners with last year's synoptic, and really take a look at the structure, the layout, timings, and the conditions of the assessment. And also, what evidence must be produced for the marking, because that's a real key. You know, what should be used for the marking. It does tell you their structure, layout, timings, and marking. So run with the learners on a mock assessment with one of these, because it absolutely is probably the best thing you could do, preparing them for that end point assessment, if you like, or that end synoptic assignment. The mark and standardization as an assessor and quality assurance, it's a great exercise for that. So you're actually showing, you'll be able to show the moderator when they come in that you have done standardization, that everybody is marking within a certain band, and if they're not, it's great for you to pick up as maybe a lead on the technicals, and come back in and give, you know, the actual teachers feedback on what's gone on with their marking. And also it's brilliant for, you know, feedback for the performance for the learner, so the learner knows where they're up to. So if we look at the evidence that must be produced for marking, so I would plan 2 or 3 mock trade tests each year, and that would help develop the learner's confidence. And I think it's really important that they understand how that assessment will run, because if they've been on a VRQ prior to a technical, it's very different, and it's not that continual assessment, yet you are continually mock assessing them, if you like, or formatively assessing them along the way. It will give them the confidence, and that's really important, that they have that confidence to be able to showcase their skills on that day. The mark and standardization as an assessor is imperative, and you know, it is really good for that quality assurance exercise to make sure that you tick, you know, you're ticking all the boxes, you're dotting your I's and you're crossing your T's. So that's really important. The recording form, the synoptic recording form, for me, it's really detailed, and for a mock trade test, it'll help support you with your marking, and then you'll be able to go back to the team and talk about, you know, how you've marked that learner and why you've marked them the way you have and what band you've put them in. And that's something that we will look at in another webinar later on. But again, it's just familiarizing yourself with what is there for you to help you to be able to deliver a technical qualification to the learner, and that the learner then can showcase the skills that they need to on that synoptic assignment. So if we look at the marking now, so the synoptic marking, so assessors will complete a what we call a PO form. That's a practical observation form, and these forms are really important. And we've got a best practice guidance link there for you for these qualifications. Really important. So I would definitely download in that PO form and using that PO form along the journey of that learner's formative assessments. So again, assessors use learner evidence from the synoptic assignment and the PO form, and they're completed. And once they're completed, you're then able to use what we call a CRF form. That's a candidate record form, and that'll help you then to actually band your learner from the assessment outcomes from the PO form. So again, markers must be able to clearly link the available candidates' evidence to the marks they have awarded and demonstrate it's recorded in the evidence. And where tutors are required to carry out observations of performers, detailed descriptive notes should be recorded on that subject-specific practical observation form, which we call a PO form. And I'll go back to this again. Please be aware that bands are not related anyway to a grade, which is a pass, merit, or a distinction, just like a VRQ. They are not. So a band 1 isn't a pass, a band 2 isn't a merit, and a band 3 is not a distinction. And I will say from experience, if you have a learner who is in band 1, continually in band 1, you know, these forms will help you move them up to a band 2. Maybe the bottom of a band 2, or the middle, or the top end, and it will help you show that learner's journey as you've been teaching them. So again, it's additional support. So please follow the link here, the Delivery Synoptics past webinars. That's really important for you to go there, and also look at the future sector sessions on the marking of the synoptics and webinars. We have a past range of webinars that are already on our .com site for hair and beauty, and these are done by the principal moderators. And if I just go through them, we have a level 2 hairdressing, we have a level 3 hairdressing, that's 6002. We have a level 3 beauty therapy, that's 6003, and we have 2 for 6010, which is our media makeup artistry and special effects. We also have one there for our 3038, which is our key stage 4 hair and beauty technical qualification that is normally used with the schools. And these can be found on the website, and I have put a link further down in this presentation for you so you can access them easily. And again, I would say that they are a brilliant tool for standardization of the technical qualifications. So if we now look at the standardization for the synoptic qualification. So our standardization approach here, it's internal standardization, which is really, really important. So the next 3 slides are going to look at the quality assurance of our synoptic assessments. So again, as I said, it's internal standardization is vital in ensuring that centres are marking the synoptics in a consistent, reliable, accurate way. Which that again, you know, we know that needs to happen across the board, because we know a moderator can either up the marks on the day of the synoptic or lower the marks, depending. So where centres marking is not standardised, there's an increased risk that the moderation process will result in adjustments being made by the moderator on the day, and that is not what you want, you know. So it's important, you know, to process and to understand and implement this type of standardisation moving forward. So again, as an internal part of quality assurance, we recommend that where possible, centres trial and plan arrangements for observation of practical assessments before the assessment themselves, that main assessment, takes place. This will allow for a review of your quality, the quality of the evidence that you can capture, and identification. It also helps you identify the manageability. Do you have any issues, and do you maybe able to need to split the class when you're doing that? So consideration should be given at this time to the number of tutors that are actually going to be moderating, the number of candidates, the location of the assessments, the required equipment that is needed for the synoptic, the time that each task will take or activity, and key factors to consider in the logistics of collecting all the sufficient high quality evidence that is required from every candidate for this synoptic. So we would recommend that for straightforward observations, and unless otherwise specified, no more than 8 candidates should be observed by one single tutor at one time. And I think that's a real key point, that it is really, really important, you know, that we actually think about, you know, our class sizes can be, you know, 16 upwards. You know, please don't think you can mark 16 learners all at once on a technical qualification. You know, it's splitting them, and we do say 8, but you know, that could be 4, it could be 6, and it could be what the workload is for the tutor or the teacher on the day. So again, here we have our standardization of the synoptic assignment. So, and what we're looking for here is obviously the assessor marks from that synoptic assignment, the centre leads, the assessor, the quality, the lead quality assurer that standardizes the marks on completion. You know, marks, are they adjusted? They may be, they may not be. So that again is down to making sure that the standardization process has been, you know, efficiently covered. And again, marks are submitted to City and Guilds for moderation, and there is a sample based on the cohort size. So if you're saying you have, 20 within the class, you won't be asked to upload 20, but there'll be so many that the moderator will see on the day, and then there'll be so many that the moderator will then ask for you to upload to the moderation portal, just as she would ask for the optional assignments to be uploaded to the moderation portal, so they can all be subject to that moderation process that we go through as an awarding organisation. So again, if we look at this, is where you can find the webinars that have already been recorded by our principal moderators for the Hair and Beauty. And as I said, there are 6 of those on our .com website. So if you go into the technical qualifications, and if you go to the events and webinars, it will bring you to the guide to a synoptic assessments for centre webinars. And these 4 webinars are really, really important webinars for you to have a look at, as part of your standardization as well, because they'll help you within that delivery of the synoptic, again, the evidence that's required, marking and moderation, if you like, standardization, and submission into our City and Guilds moderation porthole. Now, I have put a link here for you that'll take you straight to all the webinars, and so you've got your hairdressing, you've got your beauty therapy, and you've also got your media makeup. But there are other webinars on that page from maybe construction or catering or land, so they are there for you. So just have a click on that link and have a look through, and you'll be able to see all the guides that are there to help you in delivering that qualification. So here we're going to look at moderation information and contact details. So again, moderation information. This is a really important slide for you to take a look at, because a lot of centres, whoever's uploading to the porthole can get themselves sort of into a little bit of a mess with this slide. So it's just really important that we go through it, and as it says, there is a user guide there, and that user guide gives you information about our online platform, and that is for the administrators submit marks and evidence. So the user guide is something that I would recommend everybody downloads, or the administrator downloads that and has a good read through to make sure that they have all the information required for uploading that information to the porthole. As we said, some qualifications have a moderation visit. Most of the hair and beauty qualifications do have a moderating visit during, obviously, at the end of that qualification. So it's important that we know that is there. So the requirements for uploading evidence. So for help identifying evidence required for uploading, again, please refer to the synoptic assessment brief, and that really does give you the detail of evidence that is required, and it'll tell you what photographs need to be taken and how they need to be taken. And if you've got somebody with blonde hair and it's hairdressing, it'll be saying, use a dark backdrop, not a white backdrop if they've got blonde hair, and vice versa if they've got dark hair. And it'll tell you exactly, like, whether they should be seeing the right, the bevel of the nail, and the, sort of highlighting, zoning onto the lips for photographs. So it's really important to go back to that brief and really look through, because it does tell you all the photographs that need to be submitted to the portal, which is your uploading evidence that is required for the moderator. So a City and Guilds principal moderator is assigned to all sectors. So we have our hair moderators, our beauty, we have our nails, and we also have our media makeup. And moderators complete a sampling activity, and that's important that they have what we ask for in the synoptic assignment brief. It's important that you go through that so they have all the information that they require to be able to sample that activity and make that accurate judgment of marks for that learner. And again, moderators are regularly sampled throughout their standardization, to making sure that all that standardization is in place for you. So again, when we look at this standardization and making sure that if you've done all your standardization activities with your staff, with your teachers, you know, you'd be looking that, you know, your marks would be accepted, I would hope. But there are two possible outcomes from a moderation which is sampled by our moderator, and that could be that the marks are accepted or marks may be adjusted. Now, on saying that, you could have two markers both marking and way out of the bands of what's required, and that's where the moderator would, you know, obviously needs all that sample evidence to make sure that, you know, those marks are fair and accepted or do need to be adjusted moving forward. Now, this is a really lovely little document. I think this one's so important. It's the technicals checklist for this academic year, and as you can see, there is a link there where it says here. If you go onto that link, that will come up to this technical guide, which is really important. It's, as I say, it's a checklist. It gives you, you know, a great idea of what's going on. Personally, at City and Guilds, you know, we always say it's a good idea to print this up in A3 or as large as you possibly can and put it on the wall. And it's your monthly checklist really of where you should be and what you should be doing. And as you can see on this, you know, in November, we give you a little bit of a break. In February, again, you've got a little bit, there's not too much to do there. But it does tell you exactly what you need to be doing each month. And it's great just to tick that box and say, yes, I've done that for level 2 beauty therapy, or yes, I've done that for level 3 hairdressing. So personally myself, if I was teaching, I'd have one of these in front of my register or in my file, because I would be wanting to know, has that been done? You know, so it's just a great checklist. And you can see the months, you know, which are brilliant when they need registering, when you need to book assessments, and when the exam series starts, and also when the results are released. So again, this is a really, really good checklist that I think is, you know, sort of just a great one to have at a glance, colourful, on the wall, as big as you can get it. So now we're going to be looking at booking assessments. So we've got a screenshot here with links to show you how to book assessments, and a link for our 2021 exam guides. So you can see that they're there for you. So all assessment, including examinations, must be booked through the walled garden by the deadline that we specified. And if it's not completed by this deadline, you do risk delaying your results. So it's important to use that curriculum planner that you've just seen, that you saw earlier, and the checklist to reduce the likelihood of any mistakes or omissions to getting this in on time. There's a link there again, as I just said earlier, for the exam timetable in the presentation. And I'm sure you've already downloaded the exam guide on the website, and this is confirming the planned exam series for 2020. Remember, we can't change these, so these are the planned exam series for 2020. So please remember to register your learners and to book your exams by the 10th of December 2021. That's the final day for booking your synoptic and spring exam series. And if it goes over that date, you know, you may occur a cost for late bookings. So please try to make sure that, you know, everything's booked by the 10th of December, as that is the final day for your synoptic and exam series. And again, any late bookings will occur a cost. So what the slide you saw before is a great one to just tick and say, oh yes, that's great, we've done that, we've done that. Now, this slide is going to just really tell you that, you know, we have our technical quality team. They're available to answer any questions related to registrations, access to the walled garden, any exam bookings, moderation inquiries and results, and any other non-specific queries that you may have. As a technical advisor of Hair and Beauty, I have, you all have my contact details, so I will be putting them up later for you. They'll be on the slides when the slides are delivered to you, but I'm sure most people on here do have my contact details, and you can contact me when you need to give you some support and guidance on the technical qualifications that you will be delivering. Now this slide, we're coming to the end of the presentation now. So this slide is just really for myself and Alison to collate. So we would like you to either, if you've got mobile phones and you're quite tech savvy, there's a QR code there to the Hair and Beauty survey from today's presentation. And there's also, if you're not so savvy like me, then there's if you click on the link below, that will take you to the Hair and Beauty survey. Now this survey is really important for us at City and Girls and for me as a technical advisor, because it helps guide myself and the team to find out did you find the session useful, did we cover the topics that was you've required for this webinar, was the information reflective, was there enough information given, was I clear and presentable? Well, I find it very hard with my S's and standardization and things like that. Was my speed of delivery too fast, or was it too slow? It really is good, but what's really important about this is it's like, what would you as centres, as a hairdresser, beauty therapist, makeup artist, nail technician, head of school, what would you like to see covered in further sessions, in webinars or maybe in events that we could put on for you? So it's really important that you tell us what you want, and then we can tailor make those presentations for maybe just your team or for the wider audience. So please fill this in. And also what support you require from City and Girls. What would benefit your centre? Is there anything that would benefit your centre? Would it be that we come in on a face-to-face or more Teams meetings with your teams? And really, the last question is just for you to leave your contact details on this form, because then that, as due to GDPR, it's not allowed for us to contact you without having your email addresses. So it'd be really good for you to put your email addresses in there, and then I can sort of get in touch with you, and you can get in touch with me, and we can all sail along swimmingly on our technical qualifications. We are now coming into the question and answers from the qualification. I think we've got about 15 minutes left, if I'm right, 10 to 15 minutes left. And I'm now going to hand over to Alison Whittle, my counterpart, who's going to help me with the Q&As that you have put into the chat.
Hello everybody, can you hear me all right, Sarah? Is everyone, yes. Am I loud and clear? Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you everybody. I do appreciate, and I think Sarah and I both appreciate, there's been a huge amount of information provided to you today. So we understand that you may need time to absorb it all before you can think of any questions. But as I say, please keep putting them into the question box. Sarah, would you mind just going on mute at all, please? Thanks. Just before, I'm just going to pick up on a couple of questions here, but I just have some updates for you that I think you might be useful, just to pick up on a couple of points. Going back to slide 16 with the employer involvement advice. For this year, you do not need to submit a plan of what employer activities you are planning to deliver. In previous years, for employer involvement, you've had to submit a plan of what you intend to do, which was then quality assured by our technicals team and said, yes, you have enough activities planned, or you don't. So that is not required for this year. However, you do have to submit your completed tracker of activities that you complete at the end of your delivery. So there are key dates on that. So I just wanted to, because that's new for this year, that one. Another point just to pick up on the synoptic, on the form for the synoptic assignment. It's when you submit a clarification inquiry on that form, please don't forget to check that these synoptic assessments and assignments are version controlled. So it's always worth looking, in case there's been some alterations or adaptations, that you do just check you are using the very latest version. So that's just something I wanted to just to mention, because we have had people in the past that have possibly used an older version. And I've got some information about visiting moderation this year, because I do appreciate that every centre delivers different qualifications. Now, it is planned that this will go ahead as normal for 2022. In other words, there will be moderation visits for qualifications that state they do have visiting moderation. So if you've never had visiting moderation, it will stay that way. And if you've had visiting moderation in the past, it is intended that it will be reinstated for this year. And I've just got one more update before I pick up on those questions, if that's all right, Sarah. And it's an update from Ofqual, our exam regulator, and the Department for Education. So it's about assessment arrangements for 2021 and 2022. So last month, the Department for Education confirmed its policy position on assessments for the year ahead. And that is that exams and other assessments should go ahead for the 2021-22 academic year. Now, where conducting assessments may continue to create a challenge, due to some restrictions or adaptations, the current adaptations can be applied, and we have been updating the sector and our generic guidance across the website. So please look on to our COVID-19 website, and you'll have all information for this coming year in case there are any further disruptions or area lockdowns. But the clear message is that assessments should be conducted as normal wherever possible. And teacher assessment grades or centre determined grades will not be used to award results in 2022. So I'm going to send those links out to you as well. I'm just picking up on a couple of questions here, Sarah. I think some people were unable to hear. Now, on the standardization of the synoptic assignment, apparently there was some lost sound in the middle of this slide. So we can check the recording of that and send that out to you, Cheryl, because I think we didn't lose sound from this end, so it may have just been something there. So we will check the recording on the synoptic assignment and make sure that any standardization wasn't lost. And if it is, we will record over that slide and send it to you. So could you just let me know if that's okay? And I think another comment was we were unable to hear all of your points in the previous slide on moderation. So again, that sounds like it's been a sound issue. Oh yeah, I think that's okay. So we will check all of that. We'll go through the whole recording and check that everything is clear in case it was just an individual sound issue. So thank you for letting me know. I've got one more question here, and it's, can I just check the synoptic guide says to assess no more than 6 candidates at once. However, on here, you said 8. So Sarah, do you want to pick that one up? Is that an update on the synoptic guide, or is that different per sector?
Okay, so on your moderation visit, it will be 6. The moderator will see 6 learners and 1 visit. We've said 8 as max, but that wouldn't be on the day, and that would be depending on what synoptic you were actually marking at the time. I would always go for 6. That's why I said some people do 4, 6, but 6 is, for me, on the day of moderation, that is what the moderator will want to see, is 6 learners.
Thanks, Sarah. That's clear. Have we any more questions at all? I know I put something in the chat. Are there any updates or anything that you would like? I mean, please feel free to email as well, because I know that we will be getting back to you. But I think it's better use of our time if we try and answer the questions while you're here and online, because you'll have obviously a response immediately rather than having to wait for an FAQ document or sort of us to get back to you via email. There's no more questions at the moment, Sarah. I'll just check if there's any hands up.
Yeah.
I think it's just an old, yes, we have got one hand up.
Okay.
Louise, are you able, do you want to come online and speak? Can you unmute Louise, please, Sarah, or do you want me to?
Yeah, if you could do that for me, Alison, that'd be great.
Can. Okay, Louise, you're live now.
Hi. Hi, Louise. Hello?
Don't know where she's gone. I definitely unmuted her. Have you dropped off, Louise? We can't hear you. No, I think we've lost Louise there.
Just looking.
Yeah, if you can hear Louise, if you want to type it into the in the question panel, we can pick up on that for you.
I think Louise has dropped.
Oh yeah, never mind.
Okay.
There's nobody else with their hands up so far.
No. Cheryl, have you got your hand up? Cheryl Michelle?
I think that was an old hand, I think.
Just trying to go through and see if I can see anybody else. No, I've got nobody else here with their hand up. Alison.
Okay, I'm just going to check the chat button as well. Nope, nothing there. I think we've covered most of the things here today.
Yeah. If anybody would like to have a Teams meeting with myself and your team to go through the moderation, to go through the synoptics and the exam guides, please feel free to email me. You will be sent a copy of these slides with a CPD certificate, so my email address will be on there. So please feel free to contact me by email, and we can arrange something for the future to help you with your journey on the technical qualifications. So I think that's it, Alison. I think we've come to the end. There are no more hands up or questions that I can see. It's now 4 o'clock. Would anybody else like to ask a question before we go? Is somebody writing a question? Not that I can see.
No, I can't see any more.
No, I can't see any more. Okay, then, well, all it leaves me to say is basically thank you for coming along to our webinar today for delivering an effective technical in hair and beauty. Again, my name's Sarah Fiode, a technical advisor in hair and beauty, and I do look forward to touching base with you all during this new academic year, and I do wish you all the luck with your delivery of these qualifications. And as I said earlier, please feel free to contact me if you require any further support in delivery of these qualifications. And I do thank you for coming along today. Alison?
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. And we will get back to you after you've listened to the slides that I think Cheryl had some issues with. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a great afternoon.
Bye. Bye.